Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yes, Girl Events is in the house here live on the podcast and on the Zoomcast. We have Henrietta Young. So excited to see her beautiful face, to talk to her more about all the event planning she does out of Las Vegas, Nevada. So let's first and foremost welcome our guest of honor, Henrietta Young, to the show. How are you?
I am great.
Oh, pleasure to have you here too. So tell us a little about what you do.
Like you said yourself, I'm based in Las Vegas, Nevada. I do weddings and events, mostly weddings, but other events as well. We plan, we do month of coordination and everything in between, decorating, setup. Whatever you need, we got it.
Beautiful. So where are you born and raised? Tell us a little about your backstory, and we'll talk a little about your career, how it ended up doing this, and then we'll definitely get into specifics of what you have to offer.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised in Africa, Sierra Leone. So that's where I originated from. And, my mom's been here over 30 years, and that's how I ended up here in the United States. But I'm originally from West Africa. And I know my journey has been a little bit of like a meandering river of how I ended up into the event business. But, I have a background in IT, more so in the project management department, working with people. And I wanted to, have a career that I enjoyed every single day and, have that fulfilling feeling at the end after you finish a wedding or an event with a couple. So that's how I ended up here in this field.
All right, well, let's do this. We got to point out the website, how we can reach you, and then I want to find out all the details of the type of events you're planning in Las Vegas.
Sure. Well, you can reach us at www.yesgirlevents.com. That's how you social media handle. It's on our website.
You're breaking up just a little bit. I just want to let you know your audio's a little bit in and out, so I just don't want you to be upset later when you watch this. Can you say hello again?
No worries. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're coming in and out, so I just wanted you to be aware of that.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah, you sound loud and clear. All right, well, let's talk about the full service party, wedding, and event planning that goes down. Tell us, where, how big of an event, small of an event, and let's go over some of the details of all the things you can help with.
Sure, absolutely. So with regards to the event, since I'm fairly new to the market, my biggest one has been 150 guests, and I like to stay in that sweet spot because I want to grow at a steady pace, not so fast. But at the end of the day, I like doing micro events because they're a little bit more intimate, and I prefer that intimate setting of about 60 people to 80 people. That's the spot right there because that's the trend in which the industry is going. A lot of people are shifting to smaller events and just having a more intimate setting. And so I would like to stick to that market.
Got it. Well, also, pointing out that I know you do a lot of weddings and events. And by the way, there's, the different packages. Now, if you're working with someone as an event planner from day one, let's talk specifically about all that you can bring to the table. And by the way, the overwhelm, the stress, you're cutting out a lot of that. It's amazing. People might say, well, is a wedding planner, party planner too expensive? It's not. It's not, because, for example, you'll end up starting off with giving us venue choices. You could help invitations, DJs, photographers. Tell me the gamut of stuff that you do.
You are so correct. You are so correct. Wedding planning is a lot. There are a lot of hours that get put in on the back end and not necessarily, all the things you see at the front end. Like you mentioned, for a venue, it takes several hours searching what that client wants. Does it, is it within their budget? Does it meet all the things that they're looking for? And, all that type of stuff. And then presenting it to the client, at least 3 options, narrowing it down to what they like, and, vendors, and selecting the right ones for them, making sure that it's within their budget. Are they going to, work well together? Does the contract suit what the client needs? So there are a lot of, analytical things that go on in the back end for you to be able to present those options to your client in the front end, and have your client understand your clients enough to know what they want, help them select what they want that's in their best interest, and have a wonderful event. So there's a lot of things that go into it. And so, yeah, I do not think that even the most expensive wedding planners are too expensive, because everybody has how they price themselves and what they charge for. But I will say it's definitely worth it. And wedding planning is not for everyone, and that's okay. That's where some couples might need to consider a month of coordination, which is a little bit more price friendly, but also at the same time, you need that structure to be able to have a successful event. And that's where your month of coordinator comes in towards the very end, to help you tie together all the planning that you've done on the back end, which can be stressful for some brides, but some brides love it, or some couples, right? And then your month of coordinator still needs to bring it all together for you, because you cannot execute on your own event, on your own wedding. That's where you need to trust that person, to come in and bring it all together for you.
And then you also offer day of as well, right?
Yes. So day of is the same. So the term day of coordinator is kind of a little deceiving, because there's no way you're going to meet me for the first time. Hi, Jill. And, hand me your wedding and say, "Oh, make my day great." Right. So it's more of a month of coordination.
Got it. I wasn't sure. Okay. That is the same terminology. Perfect.
Exactly. It's the same terminology, and it's great. I always like to clear that up with my clients during consultation, because they think, "Oh, it's just the day of," and you're just going to come in on the day of. I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't, because you would not want somebody just coming in on the day of and say, "Here, take charge." It's not going to go smooth.
Tell me about some of the beautiful venues that Las Vegas has to offer.
Las Vegas, I want people to know it's not only about the Vegas Strip. There's so much more to Las Vegas than we know. There are the beautiful mountains, the dry lake beds, and you also have places like Valley of Fire. One of my very favorite is going up the mountains. You have Lee Canyon ski slope, Mount Charleston.
Oh.
The view up there is breathtaking, and not to say it's definitely about 15 degrees cooler up there, because Vegas is hot. So when you go up on the mountains, the weather is perfect up there. Plus, you get the beautiful scenery as well.
I've never heard of Valley of Fire. Could you just tell me what that is?
Sure. Valley of Fire is that's where you have all the red rocks behind you. Yeah, it literally is red. Everything there is so aesthetically pleasing. So if you want that actual wedding in the desert type, aesthetic, that's your spot.
Beautiful. Is that a good place to take your kids? Just curious. I want to make a trip to Vegas. They're not going to enjoy the Vegas Strip, but there's things to do outside and about, I'm sure. I just don't know where. That's one.
Yeah, Valley of Fire is definitely, a site to be.
Awesome. Good to know. Now, also, let's talk about not just weddings, bachelorette parties, graduations. Tell me the plethora of events that you do.
Oh, yeah. So we do bachelorette parties, graduations as well. Those tend to be a little bit not as heavy on the planning as other events that take place. But bachelorette parties are one of my favorite as well, because you get to have, most of the time my clients are from out of town when it comes to bachelorette parties. Who does not want to come to Las Vegas for a bachelorette party or even a bachelor's party? Those are super fun to plan. Some of the favorite things to do with bachelorette parties, either the rooftop parties, rooftop bars, or bar crawling, bar hopping, or even going to the shows, in the evening time. It's great to have a day or a weekend planned out for the bachelors, the bachelorettes, and the bride squad and all that wonderful stuff. So those are usually fun packed and things to do back to back to back. So you're giving them an experience versus just having one big old party. You're actually having them experience Las Vegas, and I love that part. You know what I mean? What more than to experience several different things in one weekend?
I love that. And I like the picnic aspect too. That's so cool.
Yes.
Now, and by the way, just Henrietta, how many years have you been doing this for now?
So with my business, officially, we're a year and a few months in, but I've been, doing it unofficially, at least for a good amount of years. I would say over 8 years, going on 10 years. And, just casually doing it for friends and family. And I plan my own wedding, and you know what I mean? So
that inspired you to do this, right? Yeah. Can you share that with us? Oh, that stress.
Yes. frustration. It wasn't it's frustration of finding the ideal planner for me. Not that they didn't exist, but I wasn't getting any response. I wasn't getting any, you would fill out contact forms. People don't get back to you. That's a pet peeve of mine. And so it was really frustrating of not knowing where to start in a new city. So the planning aspect was okay to me, but we literally had just moved here in like, February or so, March, and we're getting married in October. And so it was during COVID and not knowing anything about the city, finding somebody that knows the city. So I was like, you know what, when I wasn't successful in finding that right person, I got this. I do this all the time. It's a different city. I just had to put my thinking cap on, and it was smooth. My friends thought it was going to be stressful. I'm like, I'm the type of bride that even if it rained, I'll dance with my shoes off. I want to have a great memory, a great experience versus being worried about the sequential order of things. So.
Great. Well, also, just to let you know, I apologize. I didn't know that you sent notes until about 2 minutes ago. So
it's
the
okay.
station never told me. I'm so sorry. So I did just get them. And I know we're going to hone in on a few other areas of focus. Thank you. So sustainability, eco-friendly weddings. Would you mind sharing that?
Not a problem at all. So some of the direction in which the industry is going now, which I think which I love, is people are a little bit more conscious about some of the things that they use, approaching setting up from a minimalistic approach, like using eco-friendly, like say plates, right? Bamboo plates, biodegradable things. Whereas before people were more focused on the aesthetic of things, so it didn't really matter. So that's definitely a good direction in which to go, and you'll have more brides or more couples. I keep saying more brides, more couples, because those are the majority of people I deal with. Ask you specifically, can I have like biodegradable stuff, items, things like those. So that's definitely something that we're seeing a lot of now. Even decorations, not everybody wants a heavy decorated venue that doesn't have biodegradable stuff. So that's definitely something we're seeing.
Okay, good to know. Also, you mentioned you want to talk about intimate and micro weddings. What are they?
Yes. So I think we touched on that just a little bit earlier, not directly in that manner, but with the sweet spot of things now is after COVID, we've noticed that a lot of people have their events on a smaller scale. It's more intimate. It's better on the pocket. Again, one of my areas that I like to focus on is working with people that want to stretch that dollar and still have a great experience. Everybody has their niche, and that's the one that I enjoy working with best. And so that intimate number of people, I usually say, think about it. Would you take that person out to a fancy dinner and be okay with buying them dinner? If the answer is no, then most of the time, that might not be somebody you want to invite to your events, because cutting down the guest list is super important. So having that small intimate wedding allows you to not break the bank, because there's the honeymoon fund, you want to buy a house, all that other stuff, but it also allows you to have more things at your wedding or your events that your guests can enjoy versus just beer and wine. You can maybe have some cocktails as well. You can have past hors d'oeuvres, you can have the whole 9 yards versus just trying to limit the experience because your guest list is large.
Thank you for sharing that. Good to know. Also, let's point out you offer something, personalized experiences, which is also super important too.
Yes. So personalized experiences, for example, it's something that's taking off wild now, and I love it. So a lot of couples want to do like their own, like the bespoke attire, something that their guests can interact with. Like say, for example, you have the audio guest book that people are shifting towards versus, just a regular guest book that you'd sign your name in and your address, which would be great for sending thank you cards. But, interactive things such as, what you call it? I just blanked for a second, but besides the audio guest book, you want to have like games. You see a lot of people doing like lawn games and things to keep their guests busy, even things like photo booths and things that are more personalized and having guests interact and have fun versus just, going through the trends of first dance, cake cutting and all that stuff. So it becomes a very fun event.
And how does technology kind of chime in and integrate with this? Because do you offer some cool stuff with that, right?
Yes. So most of the weddings, or most of the events now, not even only weddings, a lot of people will want to, have like audio visual or, drones capturing it, but also we've had events where you have people on the phone on a tripod as part of the wedding party. You have people joining in via Zoom, like you and I are talking right now. You have, weddings where the couple, one is on one other side of the world and somebody else is here, and they're getting married through virtually. And that is, it's a beautiful thing because it never used to happen like that before. So a lot of people are not being afraid to explore that route. And I think that's going to stick around for a while, especially with, after COVID, we're noticing that hasn't gone away, even though COVID has gone. People are still going that route of using technology to integrate into their events.
That's awesome. I didn't think about that. Virtual marriages. I didn't realize that even could happen. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. You just baffled me. I'm like, that's right. I've never thought of that. I've never seen a virtual. That is a great idea for people that travel, that don't live, or an instance where there's a sick family member that you want to be in an event, and that's beautiful. Wow. Okay. What about in Vegas? I mean, it's beautiful weather, right? Bold, vibrant. Do you like doing things that way, color wise?
Exactly. And we mentioned Valley of Fire. So some inspiration, say for example, you're taking desert fire, you're letting people are not just doing, or even your event colors, you're not just doing like, the neutral colors anymore, the safe colors. You'll see some wild, bold, vibrant colors like floral arrangements that are really, standing out. And that's a beautiful thing because be unapologetically you. If you like bold colors, you don't have to do the subtle, the ivory, the white, just because that's what, the market, the industry dictates. So that's the traditional route of staying neutral. If you want to have orange, if you want to have green, if you want to have whatever color pleases you, that's a direction people are going in. I've seen a lot of Black wedding dresses now that never used to be a thing. This past October alone, I think I had over 4 brides with, Black wedding dresses. So whatever works for you, nobody's sticking to the traditional white or ivory. So I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that we're noticing more of.
Well, also, just to point out, oh my goodness, this happened so quick. We already 20 minutes in, but just remind everyone how we can contact you before we continue the conversation.
Sure. You can definitely reach me via my website at www.yesgirleventlv.com, or my social handle. You can find me on Instagram at yesgirleventlv. Same thing for Facebook, but Instagram is the platform that I utilize the most. So those are the ways that you can reach me.
Perfect. Thank you again. And also, let's talk more about some maybe non-traditional venue options too.
That's my favorite. So non-traditional venue options, it's really super cool because, say, for example, you take an art gallery, right? And you transform that. Who does not want to have a wedding or an event? Like, let's say, especially like a corporate event. So let's talk about that. Let's shift from weddings a little bit. Corporate event, right? At an art gallery. You get, people mingling. Not only are you having your guests interact, but there's something more to the eyes. They're getting to experience the environment around them. It's an actual experience, It's a great conversation starter. So things like those. And for example, even weddings, you have places like backyard weddings are becoming a thing. That's how my backyard wedding venue was born. A lot of people are shifting away from, and some people can afford to have it at a banquet hall or at an event space, but they'll tell you that I've only dreamt about having a backyard wedding. I want to take my shoes off. I want to dance under the stars. Things like those are becoming more common. Warehouses are another one. Those are super cool. We just had one not too long ago at a warehouse, and just the aesthetic of it, I'm seeing that more with Gen Z. They want something that's, different. And warehouses are becoming a thing. Everybody wants that beautiful picturette background. So that's a
Good
fun one.
point. I like that. Now, also, let me ask, as far as do you also, besides like inclusive, it's type celebrations, and do you do anything with diversity as well? Because some people might want something totally different.
Oh yeah. Diversity and inclusion, that's definitely something that I have to make it that couple's unique experience or that person's unique experience. Do they want to incorporate cultural things? You could have two totally different, cultures becoming one, and what aspects of their background would they like to tie together? That feeling inclusive of your own, where you're from, your heritage. Take for example my wedding. I'm from West Africa. I'm from Sierra Leone. We have our traditional ways of doing things. My husband is from here. And so just bringing those two things together, doing things from my culture that made my family feel included, and doing things from his culture as well, it doesn't get better than that. So everybody walks away feeling fulfilled, So that's very important for you to be uniquely you, incorporate what, is true to your heritage.
Beautiful. And also, let's talk a little bit more about the work you're doing. And you mentioned sustainable fashion, right? What is that specifically?
So again, that ties back to, say, for example, we talked about, decor or, servingware being biodegradable and eco-friendly. For example, a lot of people are going the rental route right now. If you don't need to buy something that you're going to only wear
Mm-hmm.
for one time, it's probably more ideal to rent it out, less waste. And you're also, saving money, but you're just being sustainable, sustainability conscious and things like those, vintage dresses. Those are not just things people just buy outright. So the rental route is definitely, a great option as well. Yeah.
Well, we still got 3 minutes left in your show. What else did you want to make sure we add?
So let me see. What else would I like? I just, I think that, in any event, you want to have a great experience. So making it truly uniquely yours is super important. A lot of times when I have my consultation with my clients, I ask them what makes them feel happy, what type of experience they would have. Because sometimes we're so focused on we got to have this for the guest, we got to have that for the guest. And events go by so fast. The planning process is heavy, and it's a lot of stress, in a sense, managed stress. I call it organized chaos. But also at the same time, you have to pause for a second and take it all in because it's your event. So putting that into perspective, you have to remember what is important to you, and don't forget about that. Let that be part of your must-haves. Because you got to experience it.
Well, it's exciting to have someone here who's experienced in these forms of venues in Las Vegas. But gotta ask, do you also travel? Have you done any? You have. Okay.
Yes. Yep. I traveled to Ohio this year. I limited my travel.
Ah, see?
Yeah, traveled to Ohio, traveled to Philadelphia. So I'm definitely open to traveling, and just call me, I'll be there.
Full service. All right. Well, Henrietta, tell us how we can call you, please.
It's 702 765 0906, or you can also find my number on our website at yesgirleventlv.com.
Aw, well, thank you so much. A pleasure having you back and great to see you here in person on the Zoom. Glad we got through all your notes and everything that's important to you for today. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend. Any events this weekend or you have a break?
I do have an
What type of event? Yeah, you're
event.
you're cutting in and out again. I'm sorry, say it again.
We have a wedding.
Close by?
Yes, close
Uh,
by.
Good. We'll enjoy. We'll hear all about it next week when we talk, okay? Thank you so much.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.